Alrighty. So I was talking to my buddy in Brazil. Oh man, we got another whole another video we got to talk about with like all the stuff like I found out about Brazil. Man, Brazil is so beautiful. Man, he showed me this one town I've never heard of before, like ever. I always hear about Rio de Janeiro, but anyways, in our conversation, he was telling me about the credit card, the interest rates on these credit cards, and I started out with like I think I said like maybe 15 or 20%. He was like higher, you're way off, and then I was like 20%. And he's like, you're still way off. And I said, 50%? He's like, you're still way off. Man, look, hang on. Let me just go ahead and show you, like, just to cut down to it. 431% a year or 14.9% a month. That is crazy. That is crazy. And so, so I'm gonna have ChatGPT read this article to us. You know what I'm saying? And then we're gonna look at some videos. You know what? We'll go. We'll have ChatGPT read the articles first, and then we'll jump into the videos. So here we go.
Brazil limits debt growth on revolving credit card lines. Brazil's National Monetary Council, the country's top economic policy body, on Thursday set regulations on a measure passed in October to limit interest rates and financial charges in revolving credit card lines to twice the initial amount of debt. According to the central bank, the rules establish the definition of technical concepts and regulate the possibility of credit portability for credit card debts and other payment instruments. The council simply regulated what had passed into law, Finance Minister Fernando Haddad told journalists, adding that the new framework will reduce interest rates he called stratospheric. In early October, Congress passed a law mandating credit card issuers and similar actors to propose self-regulation measures to the Monetary Council to reduce credit costs. But no consensus was reached among the issuers, so the 100% cap, which had been outlined in the law as a fallback, became effective. The move sets out to curb high default rates on revolving credit card lines, which the government claims lead to snowballing debt, particularly among the poorer population. The revolving credit card interest rate in Brazil is 431.6% per year, or 14.9% per month, according to the latest data from the central bank, by far the most expensive type of credit for individuals. Consumers bear this fee when they do not pay the entire credit card bill, with the remaining amount subject to interest. The central bank established in 2017 that consumers are restricted to a maximum of 30 days on this line. After this period, those who fail to settle the due amounts fall into the installment with interest credit card line, with interest rates of 195.6% per year, equivalent to about 9.5% per month.
Yo, that is crazy. And then so there's like two different videos. I haven't watched them yet, so I might just kind of talk more about what this article already put because they're pretty short videos. But I just think that's crazy. Like, man, we were talking and I was like, man, it's crazy how like when you're American, like you don't realize like all the benefits and things that you have. Like I know a lot of people use credit card debt in a bad way, like buying like a TV or things that aren't going to produce more cash flow. But I mean, like, it's just crazy to me that the debt that you can accrue in Brazil is ridiculous. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if a majority of people just went bankrupt. All right, so here's the first video. I've never watched this guy's videos before. We're gonna just go ahead and subscribe. But yeah, we'll check this out. Super short video.
In many developed countries, rollover credit card balances is very common. It is a way to finance something without having to get a loan. Well, in the end, it is a loan, right? But that's very normal and natural to happen once the APRs on developed economies are not high. Therefore, paying 1 month's credit card interest is not a big deal. There are exceptions. However, in the United States, for example, it is common to see smaller institutions offering credit cards with high APRs, catering to people with low credit scores or bad credit history. In Brazil, it has never been part of the culture to carry on credit card balances. Actually, the local market created a unique system to allow consumers to buy products paying with their credit cards in installments. We will talk about this particular payment type in another episode, once it is unique and complex. In the United States, for example, the average credit card APR during 2024 was around 22%. So anything in the range of 18 would be considered a good deal, and everything over 25% would be already considered a very high rate. Over 35% starts to be considered an outrageous APR.
Oh, okay. Here's a way longer. All right, so this video is about to be way longer because I'm definitely about to watch this.
Hi everyone. Whatever you are in this planet, good vibes for you. Today, we'll cover one of the top reasons why there are so many Brazilians in default, the truth about credit card APRs. First, let's understand how different cultures handle credit card balances. In many developed countries, rollover credit card balances is very common. It is a way to finance something without having to get a loan. Well, in the end it is a loan, right? But that's very normal and natural to happen once the APRs on developed economies are not high. Therefore, paying 1 month's credit card interest is not a big deal. There are exceptions. However, in the United States, for example, it is common to see smaller institutions offering credit cards with high APRs, catering to people with low credit scores or bad credit history. In Brazil, it has never been part of the culture to carry on credit card balances. Actually, the local market created a unique system to allow consumers to buy products paying with their credit cards in installments. We will talk about this particular payment type in another episode, once it is unique and complex.
All right, so I'm gonna definitely have to get more into this whole subject, but just to pause for a second, when I was talking to my buddy, I was pretty much saying like it's crazy how like these credit cards are worse than loan sharks. Like that's crazy to me that like people, if they miss one payment, they're pretty much financially ruined, which is wild to me. And I'm not even saying that you would want to miss a payment, but even if you don't pay off the balance, you're still putting yourself in a really, really tough situation. Oh man, I mean, this is just crazy, man. And it's like, I know so many people that will like complain of like in America or Canada or in European countries or wherever. And I'm not certain how credit cards work in like European countries. But I just know in like Canada and the US, like I've heard people complain that like, man, I don't have enough credit or like these credit card interest rates and all that type of stuff are ridiculous. But it's like, man, when you compare that like the rates out here to Brazil, I mean it's crazy. And it's so many people that live on credit. So like in Brazil, you can't even live off credit, which is probably a good thing. I will say it's probably a good thing. But it's also interesting to me, like, why aren't like the institutions out there making credit more available? Because, they would actually collect more money, at least in my opinion. I think I think banks and institutions make more money when they give people access to credit and at lower rates. And well, definitely lower rates than they already have, but if it's a decent rate, you're like, they're making, I mean, like when you look at Visa, MasterCard or Amex or like Capital One and all these other credit card companies, it's like they make so much money on people like paying late fees and stuff. But it's like in Brazil, it's like, why would you have the rates so high to where people are just going to default? So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's like something about that. I just learned about this like yesterday, so I'm learning. Wait, while you're learning, or maybe you already know about this situation, but let's go.
In the United States, for example, the average credit card APR during 2024 was around 22%. So anything in the range of 18 would be considered a good deal, and everything over 25% would be already considered a very high rate. Over 35% starts to be considered an outrageous APR. So if this sounds familiar and you live in a country where 40% APR is like someone is stealing from you, take a look. I will present you now 4 statements between late 24 and early 25. I will update the data sometime later this year, or if there's a big change, which may happen anyway to the worse given the deterioration rate of the Brazilian economy as we speak. The statements are from 4 different banks. One is a public bank owned by the government. One is the
Well, you
largest.
know what? While we're doing this, let me at least check out what is the um just curious what the Brazilian. I'm gonna go with this. I think this is it. Oh, dang, I mean that's not too bad. I mean that's bad, but I mean it's not horrible. It's not like Turkey. Like if you're at USD Turkey, I mean Turkish lira, I mean it's ridiculous. Like look at that. That's crazy. And I mean this is just since 2020. Um But anyways, let's go back into the video. I mean, so the dollar
Largest
isn't
bank
too
in
bad.
Europe, one is
It's
the
bad, but not
largest
too
bank
bad.
in Brazil, and one is the digital bank. Among the cards, 3 are personal.
Now, I know I'm stopping a lot, but I'm curious if they have something with cryptocurrency that they could do like a like if there's a cryptocurrency credit card that could provide a more attractive APR than the Brazilian credit card. That could be a business venture that could be profitable for somebody in Brazil. I mean, I'm just guessing and thinking about it, but like I don't know if there's any rules or regulations to it, but could be a play. Could be a play.
And one is a corporate credit card. I'm based on a 100% reliable source once I am working with my personal documentation and with trustworthy corporations. Before we actually dive into the statements, let's review some definitions to help understand what will be presented. In Brazil, credit card companies deal with 3 scenarios other than the statement full payment. The first scenario is the payment below the minimum payment, which depending on the bank is between 5 and 15% of the balance. This is the worst scenario and should be avoided at any cost. It will apply the highest APR offered plus an extra 1% interest per month plus a 2% penalty on top of the total amount and a few other hidden taxes.
That's crazy.
The second scenario is the payment of anything between the minimum payment and the total. This is the second worst scenario and is subjected to a high APR but lower than the first scenario and without any penalty or extra interest. The third and last scenario is to finance the balance on fixed installments. This is offered with a lower APR than the previous scenarios and with no extra costs related to penalties and fees. The entire balance is considered paid off and you are responsible for the installments. When looking at the rates, you will normally see the base rate plus extra costs and the CET, which is the final total cost. The CET is the number we're looking for. Let's start with the personal credit cards, which are Banco Santander, Banco Itaú, and Banco Pan. Okay, the first is the Banco Santander, is Europe's largest bank. It's from February 2025. In this statement's first page, before any detail, you find an offer to pay the balance in fixed installments. Let's analyze what they are offering right off the bat. It should be interesting once it is displayed at the beginning of the document. This example shows the option to finance the entire balance of your credit card and pay in 8 fixed installments at the rate of 434%. Scrolling down the page, you will find offers depending on the number of installments that you want to pay.
Ooh.
They want
485%. At least I think that's how it's being calculated. You know, I think that's yeah. That's how it is. Yo, that is crazy. Hang on, I think that I think that's I don't know. Yeah. yeah. That's crazy. That is crazy. No, this is wild. I'm sorry, like I'm not used to seeing like these numbers like that, so it's throwing me off a little bit. But that
Wanted
is crazy.
to commit to a longer period with a high APR. So you will see that the APRs are higher for shorter periods and reduces time increases. The highest CET offered in this scenario is
Okay, I thought that was how it worked.
485%, in case you choose to divide it in 4 installments. Then, on the second page, we have the payment options. The first option highlights that paying
Hang
the
on, you
full
know, let's actually go and calculate that. Um, Hang on, because I'm just curious how
in this
much.
scenario is 485%. The
I'm sorry,
highest
guys.
CET offered in this scenario.
Okay, there we go. So we're gonna see how much this is. Um, 353. Um, Hopefully that noise doesn't bother you guys too much. I'm just trying out a different 353. 353. I guess I gotta do like dash. Was it like dash 4 or something like that? Yeah, we'll just do 353. That's still crazy. That is crazy. Now, I'm not certain how they do the dash 4. So you know what, we're gonna put it up here. 353 dash 04. Yeah, I don't know why it's not coming up like that, but anyways, we'll go back
And
into the video.
reduces time increases. The highest CET offered in this scenario is 485%, in case you choose to divide it in 4 installments. Then, on the second page, we have the payment options. The first option highlights that paying the full balance is the best option, once there will be no interest added, of course. In contrast, right below, it shows the cost if you do nothing and roll over the entire balance. In this case, the APR will be 16.49 plus 1% per month plus 2% of the total amount as a late payment fee plus taxes.
That's crazy.
The final APR will be something around 592%. Believe me, I said 592%.
That is crazy. That is. I'm not gonna lie. Like when you see stuff like that, you're just like, man, I see why people get into illegal activities because it's like I can imagine you having to just live a normal life and then having to pay. Like if you miss a payment or you pay the bare minimum, it's like what? Like I don't know what the statistics are, but it's like why even have a credit card in Brazil? And you know what? I say that from like a weird position because it's like even if it were the case, like people would still use like because people in America use credit cards and then put themselves in even horrible positions. So it's like that's stupid, but that's just crazy to me, man.
Per
592%.
year. The second option shows the rates if you choose to pay in installments. We just talked about it. Moving to the third option, it shows the rate in case you pay anything higher than the minimum payment, in this case 10%. The APR will be 493%. That's it for Santander Bank, the Spanish bank #1 in Europe. So let's ask our friends in Barcelona eating tapas at the Ramblas, what would they do if their national bank start charging these APRs for the local population? I'm just curious to know. So just for the records, Santander profit in Brazil in 2024 was over 13 billion reais with a growth rate of 47% over the previous year. Second, moving on to Banco Itaú, the largest private bank in Brazil. It's a December 2024 statement. You will notice two main boxes with amounts and informations distributed in lines.
Dang, that's a
Let's
huge
zoom in the
difference.
box to the right. It shows the rates when you choose to finance the entire balance with fixed installments. These rates are lower once you're locking the full balance on up to 11 fixed installments. What we're looking for is the CET rate, in this case 396%. Moving
Okay,
to
that
the
was how you
left
read it.
box, we find the rates when
Man, I'm gonna tell you, it's crazy how they screw you even more if you pay it off quicker. And it makes sense to like why he was like my buddy was telling me like it just makes sense to just pay it off the credit card off in full every month. Like that is crazy. 523%? Jesus
you
Christ,
choose
that's
not to
crazy.
pay the full balance and pay anything in between the minimum in this bank is 5% and the full amount of the statement. Let's look at the CET rate which is 523%. Now, the cherry on the top, the cost if you pay less than the minimum payment amount. On top of the highest interest rate shown, you add 2% penalty and an additional 1% per month plus a few other fees, bringing the final APR to an outrageous amount around 515%. So wrapping up Banco Itaú, it is important to mention that it broke the profit record in 2024 with an 18% increase from the previous year, reaching
That's
over
crazy.
41 billion reais. The third example is Banco Pan, a digital bank. The
Oh, digital
concept
bank.
is more recent in the banking industry and it's
Now, I was talking about a crypto, like something with crypto. Um, but a digital bank is pretty much the same. Usually digital banks will have better APR and more attractive things because they don't have like physical locations and they have employees, but they don't have employees like at a physical location and all that other type of jazz and lights and all that other stuff that comes with business costs. So um usually they're better, and I'm curious if they're gonna be better or they're gonna be just as worse. But it's crazy to me because it's like what is making these banks do this other than corporate greed? You know what I mean? Like, I know I kind of like have an opinion where I'm like, sometimes I don't think corporate greed is as bad as everybody makes it out to be. But then when you see situations like this, you're like, man, like y'all are tripping. You know what I'm saying? Like these people are going bonkers with these dang rates. And it's crazy because people are falling for it and paying it. And I know that's sad. Like I would wish that like I could talk to people in Brazil and like get their perspective on this. Like from people who from like I guess also from like different like standings in life, like people who are being crushed by the debt and people who are also maybe using the debt in their benefit. Because I was telling my buddy, I was like, man, unless you can use the debt and then pay it off within 2 or 3 weeks, like you're pretty much putting yourself in a no-win situation with even using a credit card. Like it almost just makes sense to just have debit cards. But like I said, like so many people take advantage of having extra credit, but you just put yourself in such a horrible
completely
position.
online. It's owned by BTG Pactual, one of the largest banking institutions in Brazil. In the first page, right on top, the statement starts with the APRs in case you don't pay the full balance.
That is ridiculous. Bro, I hope you watch this video. You might not make it this far in, but dude, that is 836%. That's crazy.
It shows an APR of 836%. Honestly, anyone watching this video, can you believe in this number in the current world?
I'm gonna be honest. That sounds like some medieval type stuff. Like, like, sir, may I have some more porridge? Like, it sounds like something that's like like the king taxing peasants. Like that is crazy to me. And I'm not trying to relate to, you know, any Brazilian people as peasants. I'm just saying that like it seems like the state is like taxing you just to live. Like that is crazy. Like it, in my opinion, if you need the credit and you can't even afford to pay the credit card off within that month, you're putting yourself in a situation that you're never going to be able to come out of unless, and I don't even know if you can file for bankruptcy in Brazil. That's definitely something I would have to look into as well.
It
That's
is
crazy.
beyond stealing. Scroll
What? No way. No way. 900? 900? No, that, no way. No way. That's, oh my God. That's crazy.
Scrolling down,
I was thinking that they were going to be better. Like, that's crazy.
you'll find the options for paying the entire balance in installments. And again, the rates are lower for longer periods. Opposite from the crazy APR that we just saw, the
Man, I'm gonna be honest. It wouldn't surprise me if somebody had 1,000%. Like I'm just like that's crazy. You going all the way up to 902%, bro? That is ridiculous.
rates in these cases are much better. The example shows rates starting from 88 to 90%. At the bottom of the second page, we find the additional information regarding
Oh my God, I didn't even think about. Oh shoot. Oh man, I'm sorry. I'm like, you know, I didn't even think about like all the little extra fees. Now, hang on now. Hang on now. No, with 929 per. I'm sorry, 928%.
the
Hang on.
rates. With all extra fees, the APR
That's
for late
crazy.
payment is 920%. Basically, if you don't pay a balance of 1,000, at the end of the year, it will be around 10,200, more than 10 times the original amount. In 2024, Banco Pan made 855 million reais with a growth of 8% from the previous year.
That's
And they
crazy,
expect
bro.
even more growth in 2025. Offering these rates, I bet they will grow. Now let's take a look at the corporate card. It's from Caixa Econômica, public
Now, see, this is like the trader and investor in me is just like, hey, man, we might need to invest in some of these banks. Like, I know I talked about corporate greed earlier, but like, I mean, they're almost guaranteed making money, man. Like, oh my God. Now, I know somebody's gonna try and cancel me because I said that, hey, man, like, there's a difference between being like personal Eon and business Eon, and business Eon is seeing this as an opportunity to make money because that's crazy. That's crazy. And you know the thing is like you know people are like you know offing themselves because of this type of stuff, man. Man, I know like I made like on my other YouTube channel, like I talk about things and I kind of process the information and people say that like I'm a walking contradiction or a talking contradiction or whatever, but it's like I try and view things from different perspectives. So it's like even though like I said it's a difference between personal Eon, like who has a heart and just like man, I feel for these people who are going through this debt situation. But then also business Eon is like, hey man, if you gonna put yourself in that situation, like and I can profit from it, you know, I know it sounds so horrible and hypocritical, but it's just the thoughts that kind of go in my mind when I'm learning new things. And man, it's so sad to see this, but you're also just like, man, like if I were to start a bank, I would definitely be charging this stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah, that's crazy. We're gonna have to look into these stocks. You know, actually, yeah, we no, I'm gonna look into it. We won't do all that. That's just making a video.
bank owned by the government, normally in the top 5 banks in the country. The first page also starts with the payment option and
Man, you know what? We actually going we're gonna look at it. We're gonna look at it. Um, dang. You know what? I'm thinking that this is the bank. So Cartos. I forgot what. I think this is it. Yeah. Cartos is a stock. All right, you know what? I won't look at all of them, but I kind of just curious to see like um I wonder if it's because it's like that. Yeah. Oh man, their stock is it's nothing crazy. At least I think this is the right one. Hang on. I would think this is it, but yeah, that's not crazy. You took a massive dip in 2020. Yeah, that's nothing crazy. I was just thinking that, like, man, their stock must be crazy. I mean, like, if they're getting those type of gains, yeah, that's crazy.
Respective rates. You will notice the
You know,
mass
you know what? I noticed like if you just compare them to like Visa, look at Visa or Mastercard. These are American companies. Like, look at that. Look at that. That's crazy. But yeah. So, anyways, let's get back into the video, guys. I know,
message
I get sidetracked.
incentivizing everyone to pay in full to avoid interest, right? Below that, you will find the rates in case you don't pay in full. The balance left unpaid will be subjected to a 312% APR.
That's crazy.
In case you pay less than the minimum payment required, in the case of Caixa Econômica, it is 15%. On top of this APR, you will also pay multiple other fees and penalties, which are not even clear. I accidentally missed the payment date by 2 days, the statement before this one, and had 5 different extra charges applied. Take a look at how many extra stuff.
Oh man, so this guy's a victim of this, man. That's crazy, man. Like I know I'm reacting to your video, bro. I apologize if you took offense to anything I said in this video, man. But I mean, that's crazy, bro. That's crazy. And I've missed a credit card payment before. Like I think they said I had to pay it by a certain date, and then I didn't even realize that it was like I had to pay it by a certain date by 5 p.m. PST or something like that. And I was like, what the heck? But anyways, I feel you, bro. I feel you on that. I feel
Was
you, bro.
added.
It's tough.
The bottom line is that this bank, given that it's owned by the
Oh, to talk back on that. So I think I had to pay like I would think I paid like at 11 p.m. and by 11 p.m. it was already past 5 p.m. in Pacific time, or maybe it was like 11:30 or something like that. But so I basically missed it by 30 minutes, and it ended up being as a late payment. I got charged a fee, man. That shit sucks. But anyways, I feel your pain, bro. I feel your pain, but I don't feel your pain like that because I mean your rates are ridiculous.
government and supported by taxpayers, was supposed to help local businesses. How compatible is this mission with the APR on this range? You tell me. Well, the goal was to show how bizarre it is to survive in a hostile environment like this one. Imagine having to navigate within these rates. It's not for beginners. On later episodes, I will interview random people in the street and get honest feedback.
You know, it's crazy because your boy was just talking about that. Like, I wish I could talk to people and see their perspective on this thing.
To share with you.
Great minds, my brother. Great minds.
Keep in mind that the examples are from a person with a high credit score and a corporation, which is my corporation, with a perfect credit history. It doesn't really matter. It's one big dark hole where everyone is mixed and smashed inside, with the banks getting the juice out of it. So if you made this far and enjoyed the video, please hit the like button to help the channel to grow. If you like the topic, share with friends and consider subscribing to the channel and turning on notifications in order to be notified when new content arrives. The plan is to have new stuff once a week. That's all for now. Stay tuned, folks.
All right, man. So, if y'all like this in the comments, like, I'll definitely watch some more of his videos. Oh, he got another one. I ain't get a question. But yeah, that drink's crazy. So, so this was the first video I watched in the beginning of this video. And then that one. Okay, so, yeah, I guess we could check this one out later if you guys find this topic interesting. But there's another video I want to watch. It's short. It's like 2 minutes.
All day long is what Joel Alves, a 67-year-old.
Sorry.
Driving a taxi all day long is what Joel Alves, a 67-year-old Brazilian, has been doing for the past 22 years. But now he can't make ends meet anymore, let alone paying off his debts. With prices rising 10.79% from a year ago, driven by a jump in gasoline and food costs, and key interest rates at 11.75%, Joel is caught in what he sees as an endless debt trap.
A gente sabe que as coisas só aumentam.
The cost of living is going up day by day, so I'm just paying interest on all my credit cards and on everything I buy. I'm trying to cut down costs, but I'm just getting more indebted.
Economist Isis Ferreira, who conducted the Consumer Debt and Default Survey for the National Confederation of Commerce, says indebtedness is soaring with no end in sight.
Então a gente chegou a esse 76,6% do total.
We reached 76.6% of indebted households in Brazil in February, which represents, in absolute terms, 12.5 million families, the highest we've recorded in our surveys in 12 years. And we don't expect it to diminish because people depend on credit to survive.
But although Brazilians have little to be optimistic about, the pre-pandemic buzz has returned. Streets are crowded and people continue to buy and sell, but they're doing so on credit. Namara Souza sells snacks on the streets in downtown Rio de Janeiro, but she says she needs to accept credit card payments.
If I didn't have a card machine, I don't know what I would do. Everyone is paying with cards. Nobody has or carries cash anymore.
This is happening despite the fact that overdraft fees in Brazil are astronomical, effectively putting consumers in a situation where the use of credit card is financially dangerous.
Esses 350% em média existem
350% is on average what banks charge per year for those who can't pay off their cards in full. And some financial institutions charge even more. It is extremely painful for consumers.
Worried about an uncertain future, with an economy expected to grow only 1% this year, Joel is working 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, for what he says is just to pay his mounting debts. Over and over again. Lucrecia Franco, CGT.
Man, that's sad, man, because it's like you can't even, like, get ahead, you know, and you just, like, I didn't even think about the fact that, man, Brazil may have raised interest rates and all those other things, and cost of living and gas and all that other stuff going up too, man. Whew. I'm not gonna lie, man, it kind of stressing me out. But yeah, man, that's sad, bro. Man, if you're going through anything in Brazil like that, man, I don't even know what I can say to help you, man, but my heart goes out to you, man, like, for real. And, you know, situations like this don't even seem like they're going to get any better because this article is from 2023. So, I don't know, man. Anyways, if you made it this far in the video, I hope you enjoyed it. And we'll get some more into, like, different economies or countries and, you know, what's going on from a macro perspective and what's going on with the people that live in these countries or businesses or anything, you know. But anyways, if you watch it to the end, I appreciate it, man. Like, comment, and subscribe. Yeah, man. Peace.
Man, even Jesus had a shooter. And God be having unbelievers that didn't mess up their demeanor. And yes, they know it's hard. They know, cause when they be up in those trenches, man, they show out. But what they do